Order the Board of Directors meeting for the Peripheral Area Recreation and Parks District at 6:30. Three of us. Can you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Division 1, Fitzgerald Johnson.
here. Division 2, Jose Luis Godinez.
Present.
Division 3, Tammy Rivas, here. Division 4, Edgar Quetzalon.
Present.
Division 5, Ross Leisure.
Here.
Any presentations or recognitions?
Yes, we do. Tonight, Ms. Whitney will be giving us a recreation update.
So mine is kind of what we've done over the last few months and what's coming forward in the next few. Focusing first on our community outreach that we did, pretty much the latter part of last year. We did have the source fair at the end of July right before school come down. We were tabling at the events. Obviously our prize pool was out there, staff, talking to the kids and also the parents, letting them know about the activities and things that we were doing. And what's coming up. They passed out food and backpacks, so it was a really big turnout for the school. And for us as well, to get the exposure. The next one was in October, Indian Hills Elementary. This is our fourth year that we participated in their fall festival. So they have booths from not only us and things like that. As you can see, our staff was among many events that were there at many booths. They had jumpers, so it was pretty much their alternative to Halloween event. So it was just something for the schools, the students and the parents of Indian Hills Elementary School. Next one, this was a new one that we participated in. We were contacted by Hoopa Middle School. Sorry, yeah, middle school. I almost said junior high for those of you who remember. Middle school. This was their first time putting this event on, just trying to offer mental health alternatives for the parents and the kids that are at the school. As you can see, our staff made friends with the kitten that was brought from the animal control and the stuff like that. So it wasn't the biggest turnout, but here in our park. So obviously we want to be at our parks when those type of events come along. We did participate at the city's tree lighting ceremony in November. Friendly staff, meeting with people and letting them know about the things we do. And at that time they were promoting Breakfast with Santa and Snow Day. So next thing, kind of the future, what's coming up very quickly. First 5 swim scholarships. This is about our 4th year that we've been able to get funding for them. We actually asked for additional funding for this June. We had quite a turnout for the first half of the fiscal year, and their grants are based on fiscal year. So we got an additional 22 full scholarships, which is paying for a swim lesson, a complete swim lesson for 2 weeks. So we got an additional 22 full ride scholarships. And then we have some leftover 50% ones that we'll be able to use in June. We've also secured our funding for 2025 and 2026 for them as well. We have 50 full-time and I should say full-time, 100%. And then we have 66 50% ones that we'll be able to use next year, basically June when we come along. Okay. And July of this year, I should say as well. And then we did have a family member of a former youth basketball participant, and actually somebody who served as a lifeguard for a year. They had a relative pass away, and they had been the one that went in our basketball program and a lifeguard. They gave us $300, so we split it over the swim and youth basketball applications for that. So this we offered $50 per, so that it could help reduce some of the costs for those trying to participate in those 2 programs. And then we had the Rotary Cup $500 donation. Those funds are still waiting. We've decided to put it towards all of our youth scholarships. So any program that we do, rather than the basketball or swim, since we have that, so they can apply for that, and that is, we'll be going out here. It's been available, and then we will be going out and really hitting it for the summer when we get our bigger turnout. And some additional ones. We have 2 events that are, we're gonna be participating at. This is a new event that Herb Valley High School is putting on. It's a jazz and cello music festival and community resource fair. This will also be an opportunity for reach out to additional staff and our aquatics lifeguards, reaching out to the teams and hopefully getting a few more applicants for those 2 spots. But we'll be tabling, having some great giveaways for them as well. And then we have the Day of the Child Resource Fair. This is over at what used to be the old West Riverside, the north part of that, where they now have their parent, teacher, and all that development there. But this will be another event. We've participated in this in its various locations. It's moved from downtown Rubidoux to the school site, so it's been a few different places. But we will be participating in this one as well. And that's just another opportunity promoting the swim lessons that we have at Rubidoux High School. This is their neighborhood, so we'll really be hitting those as well and letting you know about the scholarships. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Guys, letting her off very easy.
Do we have children who would like to get scholarships for swim lessons and do not?
We are limited to the 0 to 5 or 6 months to 5.
Mhm.
So we have had ones that are older than that. The Dodd family one, they were able to do that one last year. But the one from the Rotary will help with that as well. So we have had ones that are older than 5.
But the Rotary is for everything.
Correct. So that's one of the ones that if somebody older than 5 comes in, we would be able to offer them that one in lieu of, because the first 5 is limited to 5-year-olds.
Okay, so under the 0 to 5, have we had people, do we?
We've had it for other things other than swim. People have come in and asked for it before the funding came in for the Rotary in past years.
At this point, we have not had to turn anybody away that has inquired
For swim lessons?
for swim lessons.
Correct.
Okay,
Under 5.
under 5.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, wasn't.
They haven't been open.
I got what you said.
Registration hasn't opened up for the
For
season.
this season yet.
But in the.
No, I understand that, but I like last year. Okay.
Yeah, we've had a few come in that were older than 5 that asked, and there just wasn't the funding previously.
So what is the thought, and this isn't necessarily a question for you, it's for whoever wants it. So for example, like the Rotary and the Dodd. So I understand wanting to give children lots of opportunities. One opportunity potentially keeps them from drowning, and another opportunity allows them to play basketball. I don't see the equivalency there.
These are things we can talk about, but if somebody already knows how to swim,
But there's somebody else who may not know how to swim. Not swim well, or,
I don't know if there's a correct answer to that,
And
honestly.
with the Dodd one, they specifically wanted to split it between the 2.
well, yes, and of course, if someone gives us money and
Right.
says we specifically wanted to do
Mhm.
this, we're not gonna say no, of course not. But if we have an opportunity to decide where the money's going,
And I think we look at it as them increasing their physical activity as well.
right,
And this will be something we talk about as we talk about the formation of the foundation, I would assume, as well, so.
okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hardy.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Any public comments tonight?
I've not received any.
Would anyone wish to pull something from the consent calendar? No, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All in favor? Calendar passes 5-0. Right, on to board action items. 5.1, discuss 37th Street Park design.
Yes, thank you, President. As you're aware, we acquired the property on 37th Street and we're actively seeking grant applications for the project. And this will actually qualify as our 3rd public meeting for it, even though we don't have anybody here. I just want to get a good opportunity to review this design with everybody. It's why it's it's been about 15 months or so since we've looked at it. The front of the park will be on the south side of 37th Street. 1 block north of Mission Boulevard. To the immediate west of the property is the church, and the land to the east and south is currently vacant. Although there has been an inquiry for somebody to build a commercial project directly south of the park, the parcel that we own. So we'll see what comes of that.
Directly south would be,
Between the park and Mission, it'd be down here. What I'm calling south, even though it's kind of cockeyed, but yeah, below, between the park and Mission.
And you got your east and west mixed up, by the way.
That would be the west, the east side is the church, the west side is vacant. Did I cross it up?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's about 3/4 of an acre. The proposed design has some swings, a playground, a half-court basketball, a passive recreation area. We're looking at really keeping the environmental design into play on this. One of the biggest concerns we had is, you may recall from the residents of the community, is the unhoused population area. Making sure that it was designed that it would not become overrun and so some of the designs for the park. There we go. The shade would be these cutout. Heck is this thing doing? I apologize. This computer's being replaced. I think it knows it, so it's being temperamental. So that the shade, as we looked at, were the butterfly cutouts. They're a translucent material. They're not the 4-post design shade structures. So it limits the ability to be converted into another shade structure. There we go. The top one there, and they're also perforated, so it would not protect from the elements, allowing rain and stuff to come through, so. Lot of low-lying plant material, so it doesn't create hiding spots and stuff as well. It's also designed, the park will be fenced, so it can be shut off at night. And then there's a walkway from the street to the basketball court that's wide enough that the sheriff could drive up onto it if they needed to. So those were inputs that were received from the sheriff's department. So with that, we're applying for the outdoor recreation legacy or LP, outdoor recreation legacy program, which is to bring new parks to underserved areas. Based on the rating rubric they have, this parcel ranks in the 97th percentile, so it ranks really high for qualifying. So we think we have a good opportunity for this project. It's due in a couple weeks here, and we'll keep you guys updated.
you included the pictures of all those,
Options. We have not finalized what that will be yet. I know the Labyrinth was not necessarily high on a lot of the board members. And we can look at other opportunities for the final design.
well, it's not on that design.
It just says passive recreation, I think.
Oh, that's where that was.
The green area to the right doesn't say,
Yeah, it says pass, okay, I took that as to be grass.
and that's one of the things that we've talked about. 'Cause otherwise, really not grass in the park.
Right.
That this gray area is actually like AstroTurf. Because the way that this is sloping within the park, so.
What would the lighter gray in like around in the middle be?
This,
Yeah.
this is all hardscape. Concrete. So this creates remember one of the things that the residents wanted to was walking paths. We have solar lights and stuff in here. They want a safe walking area.
If you scroll down, you have a more detail.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I can. Here it is. Thank you. There we go. It's just.
I just want to make sure that applying for this grant does not set in stone this design.
No, there's nothing set in stone. What we could change as long as it remains a park with the same intentions of being open to the public. If we decide not to put in a basketball court or whatever, would not change any of the grant per se.
Okay.
Really what it comes down to is serving an underserved community and that there was public input. And we had great public input at the park site itself. And then we also had public input as part of the Fall Spectacular that year, where we had tremendous public outreach, and we have pictures of all that will be submitted as well.
We still have nothing kind of planned for that little area that goes up toward Mission. That little,
It would be. I reached out to the guy that's trying to build the shopping center, see if he's interested in it. I don't think it behooves us to build that sliver. Cause it would create a pass through from Mission into the community. It would open the park up for vandalism and create, the sheriff's department did not like the idea of it either, so. This keeps it a neighborhood park to those that live in the community that are not accessible from Mission. Any other questions?
How much space on the south, that's Mission, right?
The south, Mission is down here at the bottom.
How much space is in between the facility and the street?
It's basically the same as this distance right here from the sidewalk to here. It's the center line.
I do like the half court. My only question would be if people are playing with the ball.
It's gonna end up being a block wall around it.
Okay, so there's.
At least the bottom southern side of would be block wall.
Okay.
Well, I like the fact that the basketball court is as far as possible from the houses, because the last thing you want to do is be sitting in your house in the air, thunk all day long.
I like the variety of garden plants and the pollinator plants.
Mhm.
I just think the trees should focus more on native species. I think the only one we have is Catalina cherry,
Okay,
and I would suggest a palo verde or a manzanita.
and when we get to the final designs, we can update that, but understood.
Well, I don't know that the two that you're suggesting are native to here, though,
Yeah. To Southern California.
to inland. Southern California, that's what I'm trying to read.
The palo verde for sure it is. 'Cause it's a. Have something.
That was more of a desert.
We can bring in the landscape architect and get all the. Make sure we're. Get the.
I mean, in the end, but it just does strike me as more like Coachella Valley types of things, not here.
And one of the things I didn't really touch on a lot, but with the plant material, remember this is the Inland Empire Regional Conservation District has agreed to grow the plants at Glen Avon Heritage and donate them to this project.
Oh, that's right.
So that'd be really cool and hopefully help with some extra brownie points on the grant application.
So there's still more stages to come.
Oh, okay.
This is just the.
These are preliminary.
Just think of it selling like
These are just conceptual
drawings
drawings.
that can do.
I see.
All this will be good.
Any other comments, questions?
I think the only thing for me, it's, I don't know, probably development's gonna be come to the side, just, in terms of like, if you're thinking about like AstroTurf or any rubber, just considering the heat, right? Generated.
That's that's one thing we talked about putting this as grass,
Yeah,
just to help offset that.
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if I like that little maze inlay in the grass,
Well, that's what we talked about, just making that grass.
just making it grass, yeah.
A little spot where you could go like picnic with your kids. You need there needs to be a little bit of grass. Yeah. Or your toddler wants to run around.
So no maze.
I don't know about you, but it didn't strike us that I don't know if there's anybody in Herb Valley that wants a maze, but we just didn't think that the folks.
It's really necessary.
Yeah, no. Wasn't like when they were thinking, what did I want in my neighborhood park?
Yeah, just can't imagine.
A
what kids are
labyrinth.
walking around in circles.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
No. And the fact that there's no other grass anywhere else, that's a great spot. You know,
Wear it out.
to have a little.
So this will come back for final design before we go forward on anything.
Anything else you need from the board?
No.
Great. Moving on to item 5.2, legislative updates.
I put in front of you, a document from, CSDA, California Special Districts Association. This is something I want to do with the board probably 3 or 4 times a year. Just kind of a kickoff this year. As things are. Every year, there's a slew of bills proposed in the legislature. Through a couple different professional associations that we're members of, being the California Special Districts Association, California Association of Park and Recreation Districts. Both have a legislative branch that often either requests for support or requests for opposition on different various bills that may or may not impact us in various ways. So I want to sit a couple times a year, bring this back, have discussions with you, especially on bills that may impact us. And if it's something the board wants to take a position on. So often, they request us to submit letters. The reality is all the bills were due last week. I know this year, there was a limit on each of the assembly members, in each of the centers, how many they could submit. I forget what it was. It was more in the Senate than it was in the Assembly, because there's obviously 50 versus 200 and something, I think it is. So there's a couple thousand bills that have been submitted. Medicare shaking his head. He has a lot of, so right now, everybody's going through all this stuff, deciphering it. But a couple of things I wanted just to point out to you, that talks in this brief talks about the governor's January budget proposal. It's very, very high level. They are looking, they do think it'll be a balanced budget going forward, which is a good thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through a lot of this stuff line by line for you to give the opportunity to read through it. But on page 4, page 4. There's a couple things I wanted to highlight. Back in November, Proposition 4 was passed by the voters, which was the climate fund. It was, I forget the exact name of it, but it's for wildfires, water, climate change is what it was primarily sold as. But a couple things I highlighted for you. There's $700 million for the park creation outdoor space. I think this will be something, these are all gonna be grant opportunities that we have the opportunity to be very competitive with, especially with the property we just acquired over here on 58th Street. There's also $450 million for extreme heat mitigation, urban greening projects, resilience centers. So some of the things we've been talking about as the board as well, green spaces are parks by definition. We've talked about resiliency within the community, especially with the public safety power shutoffs. I have a feeling some of that's going to come into play under this category within that bond. So things that, we're going to be keeping a close eye on how that's going to impact us and what opportunities may come about from it. They don't anticipate to have draft procedural guides available till later this year. And the grant opportunities won't even be able to probably come next fiscal year even. But I just want to keep that up, that we're paying attention to it. And there's also another 850 million for clean air, and community programs. Could be some, because a lot of it has to do with disadvantaged communities, which, we definitely have areas here in the district that qualify. And a lot of times, parks can be used to help mitigate those air quality issues. So we'll be following these closely. And the last thing is, last year CARPD sponsored the bill. This year CSDA is still promoting it, but it looks like the California League of Counties is gonna take the lead on it. And we have AB 2449. If you look at the front of your agenda, after we take a roll call, it says at this point, the board may entertain a request from a board member to participate remotely. That expires at the end of December. And what that is, just refresh your memory, if for some reason one of you can't attend this meeting because you're ill or a family member's ill, it allows you to participate remotely. There's some caveats to it. You can only do it twice a year. There has to be a majority of the board still here in person. It can't be because you're away at a conference unless it's a work or district related conference. And basically what the goal of the legislation being pushed is to, right now that sunsets January 1st, 2026. And they just want to remove that sunset date and keep it as a permanent amendment to the Brown Act. The other part of that is we can go back to remote meetings if there's a state of emergency declared. So the perfect example is the fires that taken place in LA. A number of those agencies are, or at least were, having their meetings remotely under the Brown Act. So that's something that we're following. The other part of that would be to allow non-decision-making bodies, so our committees, to participate via Zoom or something along those lines. They have to be non-decision-making. So one of our committees would be a perfect example. And the argument behind that is because of we were able to prove during the pandemic, you have greater participation in these meetings. One of the best examples would be like a county regional meeting where you have people that may drive from Blythe for 3 hours for a 1 hour meeting. They tend to not come often. Those are the commissioners, as well as you don't get a lot of participation from the public. So those are things that they're looking at. Other than that, this will be something that I bring back once the consultants have gone through all the bills and how they may or may not impact us. And we'll bring back, we'll have some discussion on that. But the big thing still is obviously affordable housing is a big issue out there. And we watched closely last year because a lot of the discussion was on our development impact fees. Those are funds that we use for development of our new parks. You know, you guys are well aware of one of the arguments that is being made through the park and recreation industry is, you know, you got to really think about the fees that we're able to charge and not limiting them. That's what some of the discussion is. You know, with this affordable housing, and a lot of it's going to be higher density, and you know, naturally they end up having less yards. So the parks are becoming more and more necessary to make sure that they're properly funded, so people have the ability to go out and recreate still. So I will keep you guys updated. Do you have any questions?
Would we not qualify for the water resilience and management if we're replacing our turf?
That one's questionable, until the procedure guides come out. It's. We don't know, you know, we're doing the drought program over there at Vernola Park. We're hoping for a greater maybe return or a greater per square footage rate down the road. And I know there's some other questions that people have brought up is, are there alternatives we have to replace turf with landscaping. Well, but what if we replace turf with a pickleball court? I don't know. Where we, it's not. I understand what they're saying, but part of the argument that at least I'm making is there's no benefit to us to replace the turf. It's cheaper for me to mow and water grass than it is to maintain landscaping, even though that's using less water because it's so much higher in maintenance costs. So we're asking for other alternatives. Some of the grass will allow DGs, we can put in the walking trails and stuff that we like. Concrete, asphalt typically does not qualify. Artificial turf, like I'd love to replace soccer fields 5 and 6 at the soccer park with artificial turf. So stuff like that typically doesn't qualify, so.
Right, and I just wanted to comment, I think this is a good chance for us to do our tree assessment, and that way we have, we have a precedent. And when we go to apply for these things, we can prove that we're already working on things.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Nope. All right, do you need anything else?
No, it was more information. So this will probably be back in about 3 or so months.
Sounds good. Moving on to item 5.3, review of district bylaws.
Again, this is an annual thing that we do at the beginning of every year. And typically I try to get you guys in January, it just didn't happen this year. But this is an opportunity for the board to review our bylaws. If there's anything that you want to look at, address that's come up over the past year. We did do a fairly substantial update to it last year. So if there's anything the board wants to talk about, we could bring the item back with more detail should you want it, or we can just pass it on until 2026.
I think we did a really good job of it last year. Getting rid of the sergeant at arms was a great idea. So
Do you have any questions, Director Rivas?
No, I don't.
Do we need this to be a motion that
It's just provide guidance, so
All right,
guidance is bring it back.
sounds good. Moving on to the general manager's report.
Thank you. I meant to have pictures for you for the Hooper Community Center and I did not get them loaded on this computer. I apologize. But the last month or two, just didn't seem like a lot of stuff has really been changing at the site because it's all electrical and, stuff inside. But these last 3 weeks over at the Hooper Community Center, it's night and day. Tomorrow they'll be doing the color code of stucco on the upper portion of the building, the second story. The curbs started going in this week. Tile started going up on the couple pillars to get tile. The rest of the curbing will be going in. Some of it's going in tomorrow, and then most of it will be in. And then the next week, all the flat work will be completed, weather permitting. So that'll definitely change the look of the building, and then they can come and do the stucco on the lower half of the building and start giving it some color and stuff as well. So it's really cranking there. They're started tearing out parts of the parking lot this week and just stacking it. It makes complete sense. I hadn't even thought about it. The contractor is having a hard time getting dump trucks because they're all being utilized for the fires. So I didn't even think about it. So he's like, I was able to secure 2 for Friday. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you can't get dump trucks right now. Nobody has them to rent. None of all the dispatch services are completely booked out. Didn't even think about it, but it makes a lot of sense. So doesn't think it's gonna delay us any, but it was just he's got a small dump truck and he's just making multiple trips to the recycling plant and stuff. So the inside of the building, they started putting up the T-bar ceiling is all in. The drywall that attaches to that will start going in next week. All the light fixtures are starting to be installed, as well as all the air ducts and ventilation that ties into the ceiling. It's like all 3 trades have to work together because it's not a system like this where it's the tiles that are put into place. It's gonna look really, really nice. The last of the drywall is finally in. The bathrooms, all the tile will start on that in the next couple weeks after they finish up the exterior. So it's really starting to come together, and we still think we're gonna have a mid-April completion date of the project. So you drive by and you check it out, it really looks really, you could tell the building's changed a lot, so. Then other than that, we have, for the most part, finished up the Rick Thompson Arena with the arena renovations. All the new panels in, it looks really good. We're getting a lot of positive comments from people. The new lighting will go in, again, weather permitting next week. So in preparation, well ahead of the rodeo, as well as we're also doing the upgrades to the watering system for the arena. Kurt's worked with the contractors and put in what we call a coach's box or coach's switch, to where they'll be able to turn on 2 stations at a time. The old system was quick couplers on poles attached to the fence, and you had to go out there with the big rainbird and twist it, and you get water all over you, and they get clogged, and then who did what with the sprinkler, and it was a great idea. It just didn't work well. So we don't have enough water pressure to get to the center of the arena, but we'll be able to get close. So which is something that we couldn't do before. So we're excited for that. And then I went ahead and authorized, we're replacing both drinking fountains. When I walked out there the other day, I was looking at them and they're completely rotted out. So we're replacing those as well. So definitely will be a much needed, I think, very appreciated improvements. And then they'll be starting next week at Larimore. It'll take them about a week and a half to get out there. So we're completing that project. So we're excited about that. Otherwise than that, like I said, Zena gave you an update. Youth basketball has a couple weeks left still in it. And our recreation guide, I think, was sent to the printers today, is what I heard. So it'll be out in the next about week and a half. So it's looking real good preparing for the summer. We've been starting the hiring process for lifeguards. We are trying, if we can get enough lifeguards this summer, to be able to operate morning and afternoon lessons at Rubidoux High School, and then evening lessons at Hoopa Valley High School. That was our goal last year. We just couldn't get enough lifeguards to be able to offer the evenings at Rubidoux High School as well. So we have it reserved, and that's our plan, and that's what we're shooting for. So we can it is still a challenge industry-wide to hire lifeguards. I don't know why we're offering free training, everything.
What age do they have to be?
Lifeguards need to be 16. 15 and a half, take the classes, 16 to be hired.
Okay.
So, anybody spread the word?
Question.
Yeah.
You sent out an invite for March 1st for the grand reopening for JCC. Was that an accident?
I got that
May
too.
31st.
No, I got the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll switch it. It's supposed to be May 31st.
Okay.
So we're scheduling it for May 31st. It'll be more of an open house style event. We're gonna set the building up and people can come in and get tours, and we're gonna have some. Yeah.
March 30th.
It's supposed to be May 31st. I apologize. I'll switch that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Questions? Yep, all right. Moving on to board comments. Ms. Johnson.
You always start with me. Looking forward to the Meet the Machine event on March 15th, because that's always a exciting event for our local kids to get to see those big machines. And also looking forward to this summer, and I'm really hoping we can get enough lifeguards to have more swim lessons, because I don't know, I tell people we had 1,200 kids last year and they're just shocked. And I'm like, but that's, to me, that's just a drop in the bucket of the kids that we have in our community. And then it's an unfortunate fact that if your parents didn't learn to swim, you're much more likely to not learn to swim. And so anything we can do to get kids water safe, I think is an amazing thing that we're doing. And that's all. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Custom,
No comment.
Mr. Legion,
No, no comment.
Mr. Rivas.
No comment.
Okay, well, I too am looking forward to Meet the Machines. I try to go out there every time. Probably enjoy it almost as much as the kids. Yeah, and then also thank you to staff for working so hard, as always.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, that'll do it for my comment. And any committee reports?
None. We do have a budget committee next Friday.
Ready.
Trying to schedule a recreation facilities meeting as well, so we can talk afterwards.
Sounds good. All right, and then any agenda items for future board meetings? Okay. Awesome thing. And upcoming meetings, March 13th, March 27th, and with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:12.